pioneer in the field of science and the first woman to win 2 Nobel Prizes, Marie Curie has become one of the most important historical figures of the 20th century. A new biopic starring Rosamund, Pike and Sam Riley looks at 2 defining moments in her life.
I read your paper. It contains some exceptional science.
Meeting her husband and lifelong research partner Pierre Curie, and the discovery of the elements polonium and radium.
I'm going to prove them wrong. We all thought that atoms were finite and stable. Well, some of them are not. I have called this radioactivity.
Rosamund, Pike and Sam Riley, hello.
Hello.
Even though their groundbreaking research on radioactivity transformed the world, we don't know a lot about Pierre and Marie Curie. What did you learn from them doing this film?
Well, in my school, Marie Curie was not really, she was mentioned along with Florence Nightingale as one of the famous women of history, but I had no idea really about anything until I met Marjane. And I was lucky that Marie had written a book about Pierre, a biography, which was incredibly insightful for my character and playing the character.
You wish to give me Pierre's seat?
We don't want to give you anything. We're interviewing a number of candidates, and we thought due consideration should be given to you taking the post.
And if I don't want the post?
Then that is one less candidate for us to consider.
I'd wish to be considered on my own merits. If you wish to give it to me out of pity, don't. If you wish to give it to me to follow some agenda or other, don't.
Despite the importance of Marie Curie's discovery of 2 new elements at first, she didn't get the recognition she deserved. But she didn't really care about the fame and the award, did she?
I think it was very clear to me that she sort of lived her science. She did want funding for her science. She did not want all the attendant publicity and glory. And I think neither of them did, really. But in the film, we slightly suggest that Pierre was swayed by it a little bit more, but in a way because you need some sort of conflict. They had such a harmonious marriage that one of the challenges of the film was finding potential rifts. An argument to have. Because I think they really did have a tremendously enviable life-work partnership. But I was saying, I always noticed in the photographs of Madame Curie that she doesn't ever really want to stop and pose for a photograph. She's too busy. And you see these pictures and she's sort of deep in conversation and people are listening to her with rapt attention. It's very brave to live like that. I always aspire to live like that. I've run the same test 6 times. I get identical results. My instinct is that there is another element that's skewing the results.
You think you found an undiscovered element?
If you're laughing at me, then I'm...
No, I'm not laughing at you. That's exciting.
Pour faire ce qu'elle a fait, vous avez besoin de détermination, et quand vous êtes déterminé...
To do what she did, you need to have determination. And when you are determined and uncompromising and don't care about being likable, of course it means you have a strong personality. Aside from that, I never wanted to create a heroine, a perfect person, because no human is a perfect hero. Those are called superheroes, and my God, are they annoying. A human is made up of imperfect moments, and that's what draws me to her. I like her the most when she's difficult. This is when I find her the most interesting.
C'est là où je l'adore, c'est là où je suis le plus attirée par elle.
Your measuring equipment's useless.
It's worked perfectly fine for me so far.
If we're going to get the figures you need, we need something that's capable of extreme precision.
There is no we.
You need something that's capable of measuring microscopic aspects of
No,
energy.
please,
Yes,
no.
I have an idea. Follow me.
The movie features Pierre Curie's Nobel Prize speech, and it's showing that Pierre fought for Marie's work to be recognized by the Nobel Committee, as she wasn't acknowledged. That was quite unusual for a man at that time.
I think it's still unusual. I think sometimes I've heard it said that he's a modern man, but I don't think that's true at all. I think it's an exceptional man. That's just such an admirable quality. I think we both really loved these people, didn't we? And, the mutual respect and adoration and shared passion, it's really something, enviable, really.
Pierre and Marie Curie's work changed the world, but not necessarily for the better. And the movie is also showing that. Why was it important, do you think?
Well, in a way, the film is a biography of radioactivity as much as it is a biography of Madame Curie. And, you know, as Pierre said in that Nobel Prize speech, you know, that the discoveries of mankind, you know, in the wrong hands can do tremendous ill. And they knew that, but that's not their responsibility. You know, your responsibility, as they believed, was to, you know, they didn't put a patent on radium, for instance. You know, and it was that's a debate, isn't it, as to whether you think you should control something. And I think they were very egalitarian as a sort of, you know, in their philosophical thought, and they believed that science should be available for all. But of course, then it gets into the wrong hands. And, you know, the craze for radium, I mean, you can't even believe it. They discovered a new element. And because of the name, I think radium is such a sort of intoxicating name, and it glowed. And so people wanted to put it in everything. You know, the glow, people want it in their watch faces, in their face creams, in their clothes that they wrap their baby in. They put it in cigarettes, matches, chocolate. Everything had this glow. And of course, you know, it was this tremendous poison. Toxicity was everywhere. And these women who painted these tiny numerals on watch faces, they twizzled the brushes between their lips to make the point really fine and dipped it in radium paint, and they all got throat cancer, and often many of them couldn't bear children. But I think I think it's very bold of the film to deal with that. And of course it also led to radiotherapy. And then when Madame Curie's daughter, Irene, found with her husband, you know, it's the only mother and daughter team to both win a Nobel Prize. She discovered artificial radiation, and that's the radiation that we can use safely for cancer treatment. Somebody would have discovered radioactivity. The exciting thing is that they did discover it. I mean, I always think about that night. You know, it sort of fills me with so much joy, that moment where they knew that they had it, radium, and it was, for a minute, it's just the two of you. And you know that you've got this secret that you're going to unleash on the world.
The ripples you can't control.
I want to believe the world is full of light, not darkness.
Rosamund, is it true that you took science classes to prepare for this role?
Yeah, I did. One of the great things about acting is that you get to take on new mindsets and learn from the characters. You know, I think that's one of the most interesting parts of it. And I thought, there's no way I can play this woman legitimately and have, you know, many scenes of looking at experiments, and if I have no idea what's going on in her head, I have to know what she's thinking or might be thinking or looking for, or, you know, so it wasn't sort of incredibly in-depth, but it was enough so that my brain could tick along, and I'm not just thinking about breakfast as I'm looking at looking at a vial of liquid when she was using her stopwatch, what she was looking for. And it's funny how much of it has disappeared now.
I had physics for dummies and the periodic table in 20 minutes.
No, but I thought you two must have become like science experts. So I've done a little science quiz. So first question, let's start. It's easy questions. What do 3 oxygen atoms make? It's either ozone, air, or nothing.
Ozone air, then.
Well, it's not air. No. It's ozone, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. What is the most abundant element in the universe? Gold, americium, polonium, or hydrogen?
Hydrogen.
Good. If you drop a small tennis ball from the same height as a basketball, will it fall at the same speed?
Yeah, there's
Yes,
terminal velocity,
yes.
isn't there? But
Until yes, the heavier item will drop faster because of mass, but then eventually they'll reach terminal velocity, right?
Well, I found out that they will fall at the same speed because of the gravity force that is the same for...
Eventually, yes, but I think at the first...
Yeah, at first, the heavy one
It must be
falls.
more complicated than this and more complex. What is the atomic symbol of potassium? C, Ge, Zn, or K?
K.
Well done.
Oh, that's good. Final questions. What travels the fastest? Light or sound?
Light. It's quite easy, thank God. It's very embarrassing.
No,
having said, so you took, I didn't realise you were going to try and get, so you took science lessons, yes, so now we're going to have a science quiz.
Thank you very much.